Welcome to the brand new show, Bet Doctor, by the Little Birdie crew. My name's Samantha, Jane, Todd, and I'm joined by Scoot and DK, who you may know from a couple of our lock-ins.
Yes. Hello, Scoot. Hello, Sammy. Thanks for having me.
It's great to have you here, mate.
Yeah, no, all finally made it in, mate. I've been on the phone and on the video and a few things, but great to be in here. Great to...
There was
very good sitting across from
cry.
Sammy. One might say. It's all right. It's already
Straight off the top, there's been a cry out for more racing content from us, and so we've listened and we have delivered. Turn up your radios, open up your Top Sport account, and make sure you get a pen and paper. This show is going to be unreal. Yeah. Let's get to know a little bit about each other, shall we?
Well, it's going to be wall-to-wall racing, but first, let's get a little bit of the backstory. DK, I guess you're the most foreign person here for our listeners. Well, how did it all start for you, and what's your background in betting?
I got born into it, Scoot. So, my dad was a racing administrator, owner, breeder, all that. So, but funnily enough, I've got 4 siblings, and I'm the only one that got the racing bug. So, I've got 5 doses, you could say. Used to go to the races with Dad as a kid all the time. Loved it. He was president of Kyneton, beautiful track on the Campaspe River. We used to play down the river, go and watch him jump from the 2,000 metre mark, close to the horses. But I used to always find myself in the betting ring. And
easy to do.
Yeah, easy to do. Even, and I used to work for Dad. Had a produce store in Woodend, and whatever my wages were on a Saturday morning, he'd sling to me, give me 10 or 20 bucks and leave me to my own devices for the most of the day. So
sounds like heaven.
Yeah, so I'd have to wait for a committee member to come down from the committee room to put my $2 or $5 on things. So I used to love it, and I just love watching the bookies and the punters. And and from there I ended up at Assumption College. That's where Dad went. Boarded there. Great. That was
a lot of betting.
40 cricket and racing, mate, and betting. Yeah, Matt Tripp and Tom Carroll in the year above us.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Croft, me and a few other blokes loved racing rule in our year. So we bet with them, and I ran the book in my year.
Brilliant.
And
you never stood a chance, did you?
No, never stood a chance. No, I was gone early. I mean, we used to queue up at the little. And one of the brothers used to have a little paper shop at school. It'd open at 7:30, and you'd be a queue of us to get on a Friday morning. So
get the form guide
first, and then the trick was keeping it in your class before the teacher. One teacher, Mr. Avetto, every morning. Where's the contraband, Gully?
Yeah.
Contraband. And you'd have it between your legs or something.
Jigs up.
Yeah.
Still remembers his name too. How's that?
He was pretty easy. For good reason.
You made it to the Crown Casino. You were.
Yeah, made it at Crown Casino. Luckily, one of the footy captains at Assumption ended up quickly got to Crown when it first kicked off, and quickly made it up to pit boss.
Wow.
And he pulled my cuddy, said, "You better get in here, and I'll help you." So it was good. So I got to Crown, got into in the mahogany room really quickly.
Wow.
Got into the salons, worked on those level 88 salons where one-on-one, like the punter would come in. I'd work morning shift 4 a.m. till midday, and you go in there and there'd be no one there. It's empty, so it's beautiful cruisy shift like this with a supervisor having a chat. Then he'd come in his dressing gown, the punter.
Oh, how good.
Have a few bets, 100,000 a hand of cards, boom, boom, for an hour or two. Then he'd go off and say, "I'm going to play golf." Then he'd go down to Capital to play golf.
Nice.
And then he'd come back at 11:30 with all his golf gear on and just start betting again.
Incredible.
So $100,000 plates, or whatever they call
Wow.
them, plaques there, like the buttons off his shirt, It's a different, anyway.
And how long have you been betting on the ponies for?
Betting on the ponies professionally for 7 years.
Yep.
So I worked when I left Crown, I worked for on-course bookies, Anthony Dowdy, Simon Beasley, WinBet. Then I got into off-course bookies. I was very lucky to get into Mark Reed just before that sort of all changed. So 2008, I had 2 good years under Mark Reed with IAS, learning. And then they got bought out with the Paddy Power buyout and merged with Sportsbet. So then I did 3 years at Sportsbet, worked my way up to senior Victorian trader there. That was great, good crew of guys. And when my son was born and things were really starting to change there, how traders were treated and things, and the value put on form analysis versus risk management.
Yep.
They were really beefing up the risk management and really looked like and that's the way it's trended actually. So in 2013, I thought I'd have a go at my own, in the sort of nothing ventured, nothing gained, and been going 7 years later, Scoot. So very lucky, yeah.
It's amazing. Well, there's DK's credentials. I think I sort of share a similar story. I think Tommy Patton, the late great bookmaker up in the Riverina area, I think he took my first ever bet, and I think I was about 12. We used to we used to ride our bikes from Albury School and jump the train lines and park the bikes there. And I think one day, I think it was in about year 4 or 5, it used to be like 6 race cards in Albury. And I think I backed every winner on the 6 race cards. It must have been all favourites. It must have been so obvious. But ever since then, I was absolutely gone. I was just like addicted and loved the game. And then I thought I was going to be a racehorse trainer because I loved horses. I used to ride horses as a kid. And then I worked with stallions at Independent Stallions. So I've actually held like real stallions, like breeding horses, which is a real eye-opener. SJT, I don't know how you go in that environment, but the adrenaline that you get is similar to having a bet when you walk into the breeding barn with your 600-kilo animal. It's absolutely...
It's all happening.
Yeah, it's riveting. So I was doing that. I wanted to learn the breeding side, and then I thought I was going to be a racehorse trainer. But once I started working racehorse trainers' stables up in the Sunshine Coast, I found it was just too slow. Like I found myself always looking at the form guide every day, and betting was faster and more fun for me. Where you get a horse, and it was so disappointing. I just don't know how trainers at the moment go through these long patches of getting a horse to the races. They're just so patient, and I guess I never had the patience for that. And then I was really lucky enough to meet Alan Iskander at a bar one day, and he was moving his operation up to Darwin, and then I started to work my way into sports betting, and I've always really preferred horse racing, but I ended up managing all the the AFL and the sports books and the NRL, and when bookies used to take a bet on corporate, similar to Top Sports model now, like it used to be like thriving. We used to get hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of bets in the last sort of hour, and that trading and that price sensitivity was a big thing back then. So yeah, I think I did that for about 7 years at BetStar, and then I went to Betfair for about 4 years in the marketing and VIP strategy area. Met a lot of like real professional pro punters there. So I guess I've sort of been in and around the game for about 12 or 15 years, but it feels like it's just gone in a blink of an eye.
You're probably like me, Scott. You appreciate that when you're with us with BetStar and whatnot. It was in that exciting period in the mid 2000s. Where it was exciting. When I was on course, it was when the tracksuit gang was at the peak of their powers.
Wow.
And plus other guys who were throwing money around. So it was huge on course back then, Sammy. And then just got into, and same when I went into IAS 2008, 2009, before sort of the Pommy bookmakers came over, was still big. It was huge,
Yeah.
We'd put the prices up on the day, like 10 o'clock Saturday morning, the prices went up, and that flurry, that excitement of the people waiting for those prices to go up, and then, so it has changed. But anyway, things change. So.
And SJT, speaking of the track, that's where you cut your teeth.
It is. Well, my granddad was actually the bad influence in my family. His idea of babysitting was sitting me on his knee and going through the form guide before taking me down to the TAB for a couple of dollars each way. So that was how I learnt about the game when I was probably about 8 years old. I was then destined to become a physio after I finished school, but I got into yearling sales and just had way too much fun. I was officially corrupted after a few magic millions. Ran the Vobis program for Racing Victoria for a little while before doing a stint for the Waterhouses in Sydney, which gave me a taste of the good life. So I returned to Melbourne to follow my true passion, which is making money, of course, studying banking and finance while also bookmaking for Rob Waterhouse and Warren Woodcock on course for 4 years. Did a little bit with the corporates as well. Spent a couple of years at Tab and in their head office, and then at BetEasy for some marketing and media, which was a world of fun. Before that, obviously, sold just recently and merged with Sportsbet.
Yes,
wow.
That's right. You're well and truly... We're all truly in, Sammy.
Very connected.
But you're spot on, guys, about that electric atmosphere that is within betting. So I'm really excited about this show, and I'm ready to kick off. For the next couple of segments, we are heading into some Group 1 racing around Melbourne and Sydney. And then we've got some black type racing in Queensland and Adelaide. So...
it's going to be a great show. Hopefully DK's got a couple of outright...
We'll try and find your winner, Cranbourne. There's a couple of meetings there over the weekend, so we'll see if we can find the punters a winner there.
Yeah, it's springtime, and I've been getting stuck into puntingform.com.au, and you love the punting form database for the review, don't you, DK?
I do, yeah. The review's very important to me. It's a big part of what I do, the review. It's you got to... edges are hard and harder to find in the caper, and I still find I have a bit of an edge in the review, spotting the lightly raced horses and the sectional times... So the talent of the lightly raced horses and the sectional times, they tell you the talent. You want to see some acceleration. You don't just want one batters, as we say, plotters, things like that. So that turn of acceleration, and puntingform.com.au gives you that. It breaks down the sectionals. You can see when they accelerate or decelerate, and their strength. If you want to back a horse up in distance, you want them hitting the line. punting form gives you all those information. So it's fantastic.
Especially, I think our punting styles are similar. Like, I'm more of a sniper. I don't bet in a lot of races. I try and just pick off the market. But it's good when you look at punting form because you can see what the syndicates are doing and how they find their big bets, or you can sort of put two and two together and go, okay, well, this horse has got lots of big numbers. This is why this horse is so short. So, it's a fascinating. It's like a book that just never ends, punting form. And it's so interesting.
And that's as a puzzle of doing the form is, which hopefully we'll bring to people through this show. And it's putting the puzzle together. And there's a stack of variables. You know, the big computer models have got 200 plus variables, which they weight all differently. And we've got to sort of do that manually. So that's variables to the jockey, the trainer, the track, the conditions, the horse's ability, blah blah blah. So hopefully, we'll be able to educate.
Find a winner.
Beautiful. Well, next up, we're dissecting Melbourne. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Bet Doctor. We are about to dissect some Melbourne form, and to help us with that, we are welcoming Trevor Lawson from Champion Bets. Welcome, Trevor.
Sammy, how are you?
Yeah, great, thank you.
Hello, Henry. DK here.
Welcome, Trev.
DK.
What's doing,
How are we?
Good. How's the golf game?
No, it's, well...
You wouldn't know Henry before. Henry, we'll get into it when you ask him, but Henry was a very, very good golfer before his punting days, and even as recently as a few years ago, we used to have a day. Henry would pick me up nice and early in the morning, and we'd head out to Ainsbury.
Yeah.
And we'd play 18 there, and we'd dash back to Goldleaf at Sunshine to Yum Cha and a few cold beers. So that was our day off back in the day. But
I got one for you, Henry, off the bat. Your Twitter handle, lunch and punt. I think you and Sam Todd must be best friends.
Oh, amazing.
She loves lunch and she loves betting.
Well,
so true.
Yeah, that's basically what we used to do. Used to love going out for lunch, and I sort of loved punting, so had to come up with some sort of name for the Twitter handle. So I thought, and surprisingly, it wasn't taken. So
too good. Trev, we were just reminiscing on how we all got introduced to the great game, and we were wondering, what was your first bet?
Well, the first one I can sort of really remember was I was a trainee golf professional, and my first boss, he sort of introduced me to it. And the first sort of reasonable bet I can remember, I had $60 on a rancher to win the Blue Diamond. It probably doesn't sound a lot, but I was earning $85 a week. So I had more than half my week's wages on it, and it saluted at about $1.60, I think, on the tote back in the paid. So
Normie Weymouth.
And Normie Weymouth, and then it sort of got me going from there. So it's sort of well over 40 years now.
Wow.
Really enjoyed it. So I was a golf professional, as DK said, in my earlier life. I stopped that in about 95, and I've sort of basically been betting full time since about 2000.
It's Caulfield Guineas this weekend, which is exciting for me. I live just around the corner from Caulfield Racetrack, about 5 minutes away.
To say I'm 100 yards from it. So
I'm surprised that it wasn't as much rain overnight. And how do you think the rain and how do you think the track's going to play on this Saturday, Trev?
I normally walk it. I'll walk it tomorrow. It's only one of the highlights of this lockdown is I actually live within 5Ks, so I'll be able to do that. But I would assume that it'll play pretty well. I see they had 5 mil overnight. It's pretty clear at the moment. There's not much on the radar. So I would have thought it just would save in water in it. They've posted it as a dead 5 or a soft 5.
Yeah.
They're normally pretty conservative. So I would have thought that, it probably races a good track by Saturday. If we don't get any significant rain, it might race just with a bit of giving it.
Perfect.
But, I think it'll be a pretty good track.
And looking at the race, I had a bit of a quick squeeze since the field's come out. I sort of got it in 3 chances. I thought Instant Celebrity was in the mix, Agreeable was a roughie, and so was Aiden's Field. But I guess the big question, if you're looking at the favourite, Instant Celebrity, will she run a mile? And what do you think about that?
I'm not sure. She was good last start, but they weren't much. I'm not sure those sort of fillies that are are that good. There was some sort of rough chances behind us. Sort of Ecumenical ran well, Personal ran well. I think she's got a chance, but, I'd sort of want $7 to back her. I've sort of got Hungry Heart favourite. It's on the quick backup. It has Waller's got a good record of backing horses up. He's about 11 from 68 in the last 6 years, but he's none from 14 in Melbourne.
And it's a backup and travel. It's a travelling backup.
Yeah.
After a grand final.
Yeah.
I did read this morning that it's having blinkers on first time.
That's right. So,
Needs something.
Exciting.
First time, since they've gone to the Saturday, there's only been 2 horses come out of the flight and sort of win this race. Gay did it with Global Glamour, and she actually did it on a 7-day backup. And I like her horse. I think her horse went terrific last week, Angelic.
did a lot of work on the speed, didn't it? Because they set a pretty brutal tempo there.
Yeah, well, it went out and I think around its first 1,000 in 57.76. Yeah, that's flight, for 1,000 metres. Like that'll win most 1,000-metre races.
Right, going about 12 lengths above, yeah.
Yeah, so I reckon, I thought it was over the odds in the race, and it's a race where there's not much pace. It'll easily find the lead, I think, if it wants to.
Okay.
And Night Raid also come across, so I sort of thought with it, I've sort of got Hungry Heart favourite, but, I'd sort of won 460 to sort of back it. It's sort of under the odds, and I think Instant Celebrity, and I thought sort of Angelic, not really backing them each way, but I thought around $11, $12 each way was a good bet.
So for anyone who's unfamiliar with the with some of the horses in the race just yet, this is a top sport market for you. Just a couple of the key chances here. Instant Celebrity is $3.30. Hungry Heart is $3.40. Vangelic is $12. Thermosphere $13. And Odium at $14. Aiden'sfield at $15.
That what you've said there about maybe the lack of tempo sort of puts a line through maybe Agreeable, who I thought was a fluker's chance, but it'll probably need track run on, and you guys.
It's just going to get back. It's going to get back to last again, and I mean these are better horses. It hasn't been able to win from back there in weaker races, and these are better. It's going to have a lot better horses settling in front of it.
What do you make of the Colts edition in the Guineas?
It's sort of similar. I think the Sydney horses are a bit better, but again, you've got sort of Old Kirk on a quick backup. Mahunga, I think, has got a good chance. I've sort of got Old Kirk favourite, but I'd sort of want, $4 plus to back it. I thought Mahunga looks like a sort of the triple suited, around well over 1,500. Looks like it's still on the up. As long as they can sort of run on a bit, I thought it was second pick. Thought Tagaloa was probably the best of the Melbourne horses. Just he was caught wide and he wasn't really suited in the Rupert Clark, and Williams goes on, he'll be able to give him a cushy run. Thought Crosshaven's going good. There's nothing wrong with his form. It just depends how much sort of work he has to do.
Yeah, they look to be a pretty brutal tempo, pretty fast tempo here to me, Henry.
Yeah, there's a fair few horses will go out. There's a few sort of kick up underneath. And I'm sort of big rap for Campbell. I think he's a nice horse. And last start, he just sort of went back and sort of basically couldn't get in the race. And he's got blinkers on and Zara goes on. So I thought he might have been some hope. At Old Kirk, I'm not sort of 100% sold on him sort of at the 1,600.
He looks rock.
He's sort of
He looks rock bottom odds to me, and I thought that he might go to the Coolmore instead. What's the market doing at Top Spot?
Well, Old Kirk is $3.40 at present. It opened up at $4.60, and it seems to be drifting back out from $3 to $3.20, $3.40 at present. So we might get a little bit better, but I'm not sure if we'll see $4.60 come the day. King's Legacy at $6 in there. Tagaloa $6 as well. Moanga at $6.50, and then we're getting out to some of the double figure odds like Crosshaven at $10 and Camborne at $14.
Just Trev, can you just explain to the listeners, when you say you want the price that you're happy to take, and we as a professional punter, you price every runner. What's the margin over that your rated price to the price you wanted to take? So if you mark something evens, do you take 210? Do you take 220? What's your general rule of thumb there?
Good question.
So basically everyone talks about doing markets to 100%. So I do what you usually call a punting market. So I do a market to 85%. So the 15% is built in. So I can basically take what price I've marked it and still make a margin.
Yep.
So in theory, I can outlay $85 on the race and get back 100 if I can back all my horses at the price. So normally I sort of just like, you'd like sort of one roll. So I sort of do, markets, they're pretty tight. So, at the moment, the markets are around 120%. So you're sort of missing out on 35%. So you've sort of got to wait and you don't do a lot of early betting. You tend to bet later.
Yep, thanks for that.
Good advice.
Once you've got your tips from us, make sure you head over to topsport.com.au. They are offering 110% markets from 3 p.m. on Fridays. That's amazing value. It's for all Group 1s, and they are betting people to win up to $10,000. Make sure you are staking responsibly for your financial situation. If you're concerned about yourself, please call 1-800-858-858. Thanks for joining us, Trevor.
Good on debut.
Thanks, guys. Thanks a lot.
Up next, we've got Matt Taylor talking Sydney.
Where would I go on holiday?
Welcome back. You are listening to Bet Doctor, Sammy and the boys. It is time for some Sydney racing. Who else is excited?
I'm very excited. T-Swizzle.
T-Swizzle.
How you going?
Matt Taylor.
T-Swizzle. G'day, Sammy. G'day, guys.
Hey.
Hello,
How you going?
Hello, Matt. Long time no talk, mate. I've had about 30 less beers than the last time we had a conversation.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone says I need a few beers just to come into my own. So I haven't had any. It's only early in Sydney. So it's good to be on the new show. I hope it goes well for you.
Thanks, Matty. You were so close to dropping a $12 winner last week. Fun Star.
Yeah.
Huge tipping.
Yeah. It was ran a great race. Didn't have much luck. Just got run down late. And horse I tipped in the Metrop actually ran a great race too, I thought. That was Richard Friedman's horse was about 30s. It ran 5th and was very unlucky. So, look, I didn't get any cash on the weekend, but I think I'm in okay form.
There's DK.
So,
DK says it was what was it? The operation was a success.
Patient died.
Patient died.
Again.
The vet doctor.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. DK knows that's the to win on the punt. You got to make successful operations all day, and the results will eventually fall your way.
Exactly. It's the one thing where you can get everything right all day and finish the day in a worse financial position. But yes, that's it. The way the cookie crumbles.
Exactly.
Got to stick at it.
Speaking of last week, Matt, Enthar in the Gimcrack. Real deal?
Yes.
We're claiming it, Victorian 2-year-old. We claim it. It's one of ours.
Maybe. It's definitely the real deal. Yeah, 100%. I've seen the figures and all that sort of stuff. It's all stacking up with the Golden Slipper winners of previous years on debut, and I would actually argue to say that it was a little bit more stylish than some of those other horses that have come out and won recently. Yeah, absolutely real deal,
stuff.
and just the way it cruised to the line, you could see that big, strong little arse of hers. Just we can say that, can't we, on radio?
You just have.
Just powering over the line very comfortably. So, absolutely a perfect 2-year-old. Sure.
You follow a lot of lightly race horses, DK. She just looks a real professional.
Yeah,
doesn't she?
you flicked me the trial. So have a look at this thing. I said, whoa. And Kieran Ma, as I said, they've got an arsenal of these. It's obviously the top pick, but they've got an arsenal of
these 2-year-olds.
Where's that word again? Good 2-year-olds coming through. So keep it.
This is my influence on the show.
Gosh. Well, it wasn't missed, didn't it, SP, around $1.60?
Yeah, they hammered it. The big syndicates.
Yeah, they put it up early, about just over $2, and people just kept coming into it all week. And for anyone who did those set of trials, she was absolutely outstanding, and she delivered on the main stage. So world did her mercy for this 2-year-old season.
And looking at again Nature Strip, the Everest is on soon. I haven't heard much about it, but what do you think about that? Flop, or is it the perfect prep from Waller and Libertini? Where does it fit into the picture?
On Nature Strip, I think it's an absolute flop. Yeah. Not going as well as it has previous preps. Look, it'll be interesting what happens with the track on Everest Day, but no way. Like, he's just not pinging. He was just, at the 300, I think he was headed last week, and that's just not the nature strip of old. So, I'm definitely, from a punting point of view, I'll be steering around him in this year's big event for sure. What is he? $7? Yeah, no, I can't have him anywhere close to that. No bet for me.
I see Regan Bayliss rode a winner up there, Matt. Was he on Libertini, wasn't he?
Yeah.
How's he going up there since he went up?
No, look, I haven't noticed him too much at all. So I guess that's a massive little win to kick him along. What did you think of him, BK, down in Victoria?
He'd been struggling since he came back from Hong Kong. He's really struggled, which can happen here. You're over there, you lose all your contacts here.
Sam Clipperton has been similar.
Yeah. So,
I haven't seen much of him at all. He hasn't stood out, but he gave Libertini a peach. Yeah. And he went past the Everest favourite in Classic Legend quite comfortably. So you have to say that it's a massive chance. Always a horse that had big raps. I'm not sure if it was injury and I think it was even talked about for the Everest either last season or something like that, but just didn't quite work out. But it seems to have lobbed at the right time and great fitness. I think it's a massive chance, Libertini, absolutely.
Well, we better move on from Libertini and Nature Strip, otherwise I'll be on tilt for the rest of the show. I still hate that horse and what it did to me. Racing this weekend is on in your backyard in Randwick, so it's a good four at the moment. Shower or two today, but nothing really threatening the track's condition. Rails out about 6 metres, and you're tipping us one in the Spring Champions Stakes, race number 7.
Yeah, it's a pretty open sort of race. So my horse, my pin-up horse from the old Little Birdie pod, Love Tap, is equal favourite basically with Montefilia. But look, I'm going to steer away from Love Tap. I thought it did a great job. We know
how all this ends. We know how this ends.
Unbeaten. And yet not
so
good enough.
hard to get away from horses you're attached to. And then, anyway, isn't it? Matt, you've obviously had a good think about this, though.
I have. So I'm gonna leave Love Tap. I think it'll work forward and it'll be in it for a long way. But I just think the form lines around Montefilia are a little bit stronger. That Love Tap race was very weak, and it did a great job and did run great time on speed. So I'm not knocking it too hard. But Montefilia, I think it'll just get a lovely little suck in between, in behind them all. Barrier 1 on a 6 metre rail, I don't have an issue with it all. It's sort of the 6 metres is sort of like the point of the rise at Randwick, so I think that'll be okay. And look, on its last start figures in the Hungry Heart race, I think that's the right form line to go with. Yeah, absolutely. So look, that's $3.40 I can see over at your friends at Top Sport. It's pretty tight. I think you may get better than that, possibly. But for anyone who looks at figures, last start is the strongest rating race, a little bit better than Love Tap, although there is the concern of the 400-metre distance rise on Saturday. I love the 7-day backup. Horse is fighting fit. I think Montefilia can upset the boys.
I was actually really impressed with Love Tap. I thought his racecraft was really good. He sort of, anything the rider asks him, he just does. Nash had him on a string, clicked him up, he then came underneath him. I'm really worried about that horse. And another horse that I thought had a bit of a track gallop last time in the Bill Stutt Stakes, and it's got that Glenfiddich form. That horse was ridden with nearly no intent at Mooney Valley last start. Tortoni? Yeah, Cherry Tortoni from the Paddy Payne yard. It looks a winnable race for me. If you're steering away from Love Tap and you're starting to think about Montefilia, I think Cherry Tortoni is in this race up to his ears. I think he might be a bit tight in the market. They might risk him a little bit, $5.50 maybe out to $7.50 or $8, but he's definitely one that I like. What do you think, Matt?
Yeah, but a lot of the Sydney experts sort of won't really pay too much attention to that Victorian form line, but I do follow Victoria. Yeah, it's a great horse, Cherry Tortoni. It's coming through some great form lines, really strong sectionals, and I wouldn't be surprised if it happened to knock him off So you Victorians, you can definitely stay loyal to that horse, and we'll, us New South Wales, us big punters, we'll get rid of it in the market for you.
The Bazuston horses won't disgrace themselves either. They've both got good platforms.
Yeah.
They've both got good platforms for 2,000. So
yeah, 100%. Yeah, that platform is the issue with Montefilia, as DK would probably say. 1,600 up to 2,000 is quite a jump. Cherry Tortoni, it's also a great chance. It's doing the same thing, but good strong sectionals, glides through the line, given none last start. It's a great hope.
Well, that sort of covers off the top three in the market. Really, the only three horses that have got much have been backed, really. Montefilia, $3.40 with Top Sport. Love Tap, $3.60. Cherry Tortoni, $6.50 at present. Montefilia and Love Tap have both attracted a little bit of money there. So you're tipping us into another in race 5, the Stan Fox Stakes, which is over 1,500 metres.
Yes, I am. Yep, I'm going to go a bit wide here. I'm going to go a bit wide and get away from the that group form, the good group form line through the Peltzers and the Mama Regans and Type. I'm going to go down with horse number 6 called Acrophobic. Look, it's only coming out of midweek company in Sydney, but as you do hear some people say, it's not a massive jump for this sort of age group. If the trainers have been setting them just in, setting them for something bigger, it's not a massive jump. And looking at the figures and stuff coming from Acrophobic's midweek stuff, it's actually only sort of 3 or 4 lengths behind some of that proper group form. So I'm happy to say, with against the track bias last start, and it looks like a tongue tie is going on, which is interesting. Acrophobic around the $10 mark has been hitting the line great. Will be rock hard fit, and hopefully the track is a little bit fairer for it. $10 now, you may get a better price, but I'm just going to steer away from that Mama Regan, Peltzer, Prime Star, sort of jet propulsion form lines.
Seems to be what the money's doing as well. Peltzer's opened up at $3. It's out to $3.40 now. And then we've got a couple of the other favourites are also drifting, like jet propulsion, out to $4.80. Prime Star seems to be the one that they've come for, $8 into $4.80. Could be an interesting race.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, a lot of those horses are all up in distance, and I just think maybe an Acrophobic is sort of looking for it. So, that's why I'm going to get a little bit wide in the Sandbox.
I love that. I sort of come in the show and I'm thinking, Matt will be just horned up deluxe for Love Tap, and he steered away. So sometimes it just pays to not be loyal, and I guess we see that in a lot of our other show. All the pro punters, they're just very unemotional about their betting, and you just can't get attached to certain stables and certain horses too much. DK, you just have to look at every race on its merits.
You do, yeah, that's right. Every race is its own puzzle, and that's the hardest thing that we've got to balance out. Doing it manually, the computer models can do it very systematically, no emotion at all. But I do get attached to a few horses, and if you drop off and they win, you're reaching deep into the red wine cellar that night. I tell you.
One of the other challenges of betting is knowing when to take the right price. Top Sport is offering best of the best for Melbourne and Sydney on Saturday to win up to $10,000. All players on all races, but make sure you're staking responsibly for your financial situation. If you're concerned about yourself or a loved one, please call the Gamblers Helpline on 1-800-858-858. One person who certainly doesn't have to do that is Matt Taylor. He's a winner, and we are so happy to have him on the show. Thanks for coming.
On you, Matt.
Pleasure, guys. Have a great show. See you next time.
Next up, we are heading a little bit around the grounds. We're going to go visit Queensland and Adelaide for a couple cheeky out-wides. Stay tuned. So good. What a classic. Welcome back to Bet Doctor. I'm here with the boys, Scooty and DK, and we're welcoming a guest to help us just sort of navigate our way around Doomben this weekend. We've got the Queensland Cup on, and we're welcoming in John McCleod to help us out. John.
Hi, Sammy.
Hello, Hello, Johnny Mac.
Great.
Yes, Dan.
How's things? Good, mate. How's the good life up there? Been on a fishing trip, I believe. Geez, you do it hard.
Oh, it's beautiful. We had a 6-day tour sort of thing up there, and now I'm trying to do the little bit of gardening down the back to keep sweet.
Geez, Scoot, what will we give for a 6-day fishing trip at the moment down here in lockdown land?
I think I'm paying about 20,000 for a lad's trip, I reckon. I'll just happily just dust it all. Help us build the bank. Doomben this week. There's a Queensland Cup 2,200 metre listed race. I had a look at it, and it looks a raffle to me, Johnny.
I think it is too. It's it's one of those races they all take turns. But the favourite fun fact is I just don't know whether he's got meow in him or not. He's
a bit of cat.
He's a leader and he'll run along, and he seems to go a little bit too hard at times, and then it sort of sets it up for horses behind him. And if he does that, it's going to sort of suit horses like Elwood and Free Fly 2. And, Stardome, he can show some speed a little bit early, and that might just make him over-race a bit, fun fact, to cross him. So I'm sort of going along that line that they're going to run along, and, horses like Elwood and Free Fly 2 are the right ones. I'm going to lean towards Free Fly 2. I was on him in the Cup the other day, and he was on the worst part of the track, and he got run down by Elwood right on the line. And I think if the jock would have steered clear of the inside part, he wins for sure. So I think he might be able to turn the tables on Elwood here.
Well, just to set the scene for the race a little bit, it's a 2,200 metre race. It's coming out of the chute. Does that change anything for you?
Not
when
really.
You're betting,
it's sort of a long...
It's a long straight, isn't it?
No, it's a long straight. They've got plenty of time. That's the one thing that fun fact will probably... He might just take his time, if anything. I remember one day in a 3-year-old race, I think he won a Group 3 race up here as a 3-year-old, and he did lead and he walked in front and sprinted home. But, lately he's been going too hard. So it's just a real... if he finds the lead easy, he'll probably win because he's class. He's been racing a lot better horses than these. But it's just a matter of whether Stardome just revs him up a little bit early, and then all of a sudden it's a different type of situation.
Johnny, you're not just a part-time fisherman. You're a fourth-generation bookmaker. You've been in the game for a very, very long time, haven't you?
Oh, shit, yeah. It's amazing because when I was around about in the 20s, like every other bookie was, 40 plus. And I was I was cuddled along. Whereas now I feel like the cuddle, but there's no cuddle coming.
Oh, that's so good. And what about the rest of the card at Doomben? Is there something else that's a little bit clearer for you?
Well, I think race 8. Again, I was on Red Chase in the Wheatwood up there at Toowoomba last time. He trialled really good. He hit the line hard in the trial, and he got caught up on the inside. They did go hard enough for him, but he just attacked the line on the inside part, and that just wasn't the place to be. And he's got a similar type of speed structure here with Fiery Heights and the Odyssey going quick. And he's got the inside gate, or I think he's got one gate. So I just think it sets it up beautifully. Second up, he's got a little bit of fitness under his belt now, and he just might be able to use him a little bit more than he did the other day, hold a bit more forward a position, and I think he'll beat this lot. I think he's just going to end up in the right spot.
Bullish.
Well, Red Chase is $4.60 with our friends here at Top Sport. Thank you so much for joining us on the show, John, and we look forward to chatting to you again soon.
All right. Talk to you soon.
John.
Thanks, Johnny.
And now it's time to talk to Shane Adair. Welcome.
Thank you, guys. Nice to be on deck, Doctor. Hopefully I've got the remedy for punters this weekend in South Australia.
We are certainly looking to you for some advice. Now, you're the star of Dead Set Racing SA, a little podcast that we love. Tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, it's a social media platform we've set up with free tips, news, reviews, previews, 100% free. It's all on Twitter, at DeadSetSA. Hopefully you can get involved. It's just a good way to promote the sport in South Australia and have a bit of fun at the same time.
Beautiful, mate. Sounds like you're doing a good job over there. If you want to get any of your Adelaide form analysis, check it out. And there's a big race over in Adelaide this week, the Hillsmith Stakes over 1,800 metres, and there's a real derby type. What do you make of the race?
Yeah, really good race going forward. The Hillsmith Stakes over 1,800 metres for the 3-year-olds. It's an interesting time of year for the 3-year-olds. They all get to these distance ranges for the first time. It's a little variable, I guess, for punters going forward. 7 of the field have noms for the VRC Derby, so a few of those may step forward after this race this weekend. It's all about this favourite, though. Ain't No Deal Done. Visually impressive at Sale. Time backed it up. It's fourth favourite to win the VRC Derby. I think your man DK, who's the king of maiden form, might have something to say about it. A very good win. I think it's a little bit short. What do you think, DK?
Yeah, you're right. You're right, Shane. But it did go like a rocket the other day, like a dead set rocket. But it did have it all pan out perfectly, and it was D-Lane, was a Damien Lane special too. He just, because the horse can be a bit grubby out of the gates, and he just got it to quickly recover on, off, building in a solidly run race, and then tout him. So I think he could be a little tricky ride for the jockey change, you know. So yeah, but you don't see him go that good in a maiden very often, no, Shane.
Who are the dangers, Shane?
Look, I thought when Marcus went up, there was value with number 2, Crown Mint from the Gordon Richards yard, and number 7, Talamo from the low-flying Michael Hickmott yard. If you haven't seen the stats on his stable lately, they'll be struggling to find a better stable in Australia currently this racing season. I think both those runners represent a little bit of value around the favourite, but if the favourite can get to about $2.80, I reckon I'm happy to entertain it. As DK said, went like a jet last start, and a repeat performance probably has it winning here.
I thought the Brumby is a little bit of a sleeper. Maybe you got a query on it at the distance or something. It's had no luck. It's got the instant celebrity form. It had no luck the other day in that Flemington race. Just couldn't get out and build any momentum at all. So I just thought, that it might be the danger, Shane. Myself.
Yeah, I thought the McAvoy situation in this race actually was quite intriguing. 4 runners in the field. Byron Vorster's his number 1 rider in this state, and he's elected to ride a Victoria Key, who was a very good winner at Balaclava against the bias. Goes around at about $16 and might be one to keep an eye on betting. But the Brumby, look, I thought it was a little bit of a distance query myself, DK.
Yep.
But might be one Victoria Key, might be one to watch the market.
Yep.
I think with the Adelaide races, if you want to find out more of Shane's analysis, head to Dead Set Racing. And thanks for joining us.
Thank you, guys. Good luck with the show, and we'll speak to you soon.
Well, that wraps up our first show. Nick, what's been your favourite part?
Well, I've got a little bit of self-interest. I got my hunger at $17 for the guineas, and it was warming to hear that Trevor Lawson thinks it's a chance. So hopefully the track's fair enough at Caulfield for some run-on horses. I was quite interested that Matt Taylor has jumped off Love Tap, and I'll be sort of shopping around him, and I'll probably, spec Cherry Tortoni. But what we haven't heard is a DK out wide, little provincial special. This is
the best for last.
Yeah, exactly.
The best for last. All right, we'll head to Cranbourne. They've got the big weekend of racing, Cranbourne. They've got the Pinker Pick and Plate meeting, their Friday night meeting, and then they've got the Cup meeting, Apache Classic on the Sunday. But we'll go tomorrow night, race 3. I'm interested in a horse called Canadian Rockies, third up for Graham Begg. Had no luck, and I like the way it hit the line, having no luck the other day. It looks like it's a bit of a coiled spring, bit to give. His horses generally are pretty reliable third up improvers. He'll have to stay close enough to New Choice, who's the leader, but I thought it has the capacity to round it up. So I think it's about $4 or $5, Sammy, something like that.
Yeah, it's $5 with Top Sport. It's on the 4th line of betting at present. But to keep up to date, head to @BetDoctorTV on Twitter.
Or you can head to Little Birdie Podcast. DK, rendezvous.
Pop me in studio, Cherry. Here I am. No, great. Fantastic. Hard to beat.
See you next week.
See you then.